It's all about intentionality. It's all about, do I want to heal? Yeah, I want to heal. It's important to not get distracted by all of the options in the health world, all the things you can do for your health. The solutions are actually quite simple: diet, light, sauna and sweating, sleep, water. You pick one of those things and start out with it, and you eventually build, and then you have more strength and you're more optimized, and you can start shifting your lifestyle and getting more of what you want.
In today's busy world, how can we find the inspiration, knowledge, and energy to live a healthy and empowered life? If we balance and harmonize our mind, exercise our body, live according to the laws of nature, and connect to spirit, can we find a way to heal, become our authentic self, and live our purpose with love? I am your hostess, Amy Fournier, and welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite. Welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. The show is about helping you to be healthy and fit in mind, body, and spirit, as well as harmonize your masculine and feminine energy, tap into your intuition, your true source of power, and awaken your authentic self. I am so thrilled to share with you today's show. It is so important. Of course, every show is important, but my goodness, I have like an expert here for you on the power and importance of light in our lives. You have to think of light as like a nutrient, an essential nutrient, like protein or vitamin D or vitamin C. Like we have to have light in order to function properly and to thrive. It actually controls the ability to sleep. It controls your energy. It controls your mood. It is basically, as I will quote Jack Kruse, who's a neurophysician and an expert on this whole area. You can check out his book, by the way. It's fantastic. He says the skin is basically a solar panel for the brain. Our skin, every cell in your skin has receptors for light, particularly your eyes. When light hits your eyes, it goes back to the pineal gland, controls your hormones, including melatonin, which you know is the sleep hormone, which is a huge antioxidant and does a lot of different important things. But what we're going to learn in this episode today is it's also about the mitochondria of the cell. Don't freak out with that term. You probably remember it from biology, the powerhouse of the cell, right? Well, we are now learning that mitochondria does a lot more than give us energy. But of course, everybody's looking for more energy. And what if I told you that all that you have to do to help yourself sleep better, look better, skin problems, depression, anxiety, pain relief, headaches, the list goes on and on, arthritis, cancer, obesity, weight loss, seasonal affective disorder, et cetera, et cetera. All you had to do was sit in a place that has this light, and even better would be inside it, which you'll learn because it's a sauna, and sweat in front of this light for 15, 20 minutes a couple times a week. You just sit there naked, sit there. That's it. Nothing. Doesn't take motivation to go work out. Doesn't take a gym membership. Doesn't take even getting all dolled up and dressed up and brushing your hair and putting on real clothes to leave the house. It's the convenience of your home. So I am thrilled to share with you one of my all-time favorite things that I've ever bought in my entire life, and I'm not saying this lightly, okay, not only my professional career of over 30 years in holistic health and fitness, but also my personal life that has changed my life, SaunaSpace. And my guest is the founder and creator, Brian Richards. Brian Richards actually founded and formed this whole company because he had his own health problems, like so many people do, right? They don't get the answers from conventional, so they go on a journey. They go into the hero's journey of seeking out, how can I help myself? I'm not going to accept what I've been told. He had severe acne on his body, as well as bad insomnia and major adrenal fatigue, which if you know what that is, it's no fun. You just literally can't get up off the bed. And wow, his product is now revolutionary. It has changed the game. Why is SaunaSpace different? Because it's not just what you think of as a sauna, like that old Finnish sauna where you sit in like that wooden box and sweat to death pouring water on rocks. This is a multitask. I actually like to call it the ultimate health and detox multitask, because SaunaSpace is different. Yes, you get the sweat therapy, which is essential for detoxification, that passive sweating. But It also has the light therapy, which is a big fancy word meaning photobiomodulation, which triggers the mitochondria, your biology, turns on the switches, all that kind of stuff. And SaunaSpace has a grounding mat, so you're grounding in the earth. We don't get outside enough, getting our feet on the ground, which drains those positive ions in your body from too much technology with the negative ions of the ground, which is why it feels so good to be at the beach. Okay, it's got a grounding mat, and it has an EMF shield, electromagnetic frequency shield option that you can get. And when in the world now, tell me, are we shielded from these invisible harmful radiation waves? We're basically all walking around like with our heads in microwaves because they're up in the satellites. That's what 5G is. And if you're in front of technology, computers, phones, TVs, smart houses, it's all technology. So SaunaSpace is the quadruple whammy. It's got the 4 things to help you. And that's probably why I love it so much. It's one that and the core harmonizer are like the 2 best things I've ever bought in my life. And you can check out the core harmonizer with that episode I did. And they're both on my store. Okay, so wow, you can save with my coupon code if you decide to get any of these products. And here's the last thing I'll tell you. You don't have to buy the whole sauna, okay, because it's pricey. But again, it's worth every penny. You'll have it your whole life. You can just buy the Photon light, which is basically one of the big red bulbs, which is gorgeous and beautiful. And I use them as night lights. I use them just all the time, like to help with my mood. I have one right here shining on me on my desk. So if it's too pricey, just get one of those and maybe put on your Christmas gift for someone to get you a sauna because, again, you will not regret it. You will love it. So you can use my coupon code at checkout to save some money, which always helps. FitAmyTV5. All this is on my website under my recommended products e-store. If you forget, just follow the links. Super easy. And wow, I'm just like, can you tell I'm jumping out of my seat here to tell you about this because this is truly one of my all-time favorite important game changer things. So today I have the man himself, Brian Richards, on the show. And he shares with us his story. He talks about why light is important. We start with the foundation like we always do. Evolution and ancestral healing and history and how they've all used sweating and light. How fire, sun, and SaunaSpace, which is the product, are all incandescent light and how that's important, what it's doing. We talk about cellular melatonin, how it's the number 1 antioxidant and the key importance of getting that in line. Screen fatigue, blue light, why blue light is a disaster, which is basically what we're all being zapped at when we have our faces in computers and screens. Okay, it's related to decreasing dopamine and increasing blood sugar, so putting on weight, your appetite, increasing hyperactivity, increasing appetite, and mainly it dehydrates the heck out of you. So those all things that blue light are doing. So we have a great discussion about blue light. And if you want to learn more about that, by the way, check out the episode I did with Nick Pino, who's considered the EMF guy. Nick Pino is episode 63, okay? And you can also check out more on EMFs with episode 116 with Elizabeth Plurd. And we talk about good ways to kind of mitigate it a little bit, okay? So with Brian, though, the rest of what we talk about, so many great things. What the heck is photobiomodulation? And how near infrared, far infrared, and red lights are different. Why SaunaSpace is different from a lot of the other light therapies you might see, like Juve and stuff, which I have, by the way. But this is totally on next level, SaunaSpace. We talk about poisons and purifying the body. Gosh, the importance of detox in today's day and age is critical. Okay, and the savior complex. Do you have the savior complex? Self-care, how that's related to worth and respect. And Brian shares with us his ideas on intentionality. I love that word he uses. And finally, I asked Brian, okay, what's the difference between passive sweating in a sauna and exercise sweating? Because I've always wondered that. And he gives a brilliant and, of course, bang-on answer, which you need to know, because the more you work out, the more you actually need the sauna, because you need that passive recovery where your body is getting restored rather than depleted. Because working out, okay, working out, energy's going out, is different than energy coming in. Sauna brings the energy in. It's very yin energy, very feminine. It's perfect for my show. And that's why I'm going crazy explaining this to you. Okay, so you're going to love this episode. Please check it out. Consider getting one for yourself. You will not regret it, I promise. Check out my recommended products. You'll find that code, all the information. All right, now let's join Brian Richards of SaunaSpace. And welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Amy. So glad to be here.
Boy, am I thrilled to share you with my audience. I am just probably your biggest fan. SaunaSpace, your product, everything I've learned from you has changed my life. As I said in the introduction, I've been looking for a home sauna for years. And I was fortunate enough to hear about you and your product because you were highly recommended by Dr. Mercola, Joseph Mercola.
Mm-hmm.
And I checked it out, and the rest is history. I am a firm believer. If you're watching on my channel, YouTube, right there is my sauna tent. Right there is one of the Photon lights. Downstairs is another one. In the kitchen is another one. We'll get to your products later. But I'm just hook, line, and sinker. It's one of the best things I've ever bought for myself. And ever.
Grateful.
And I've been in health and wellness for over 30 years. And I kind of rub shoulders with some big names in the industry. And let me tell you, I don't say that lightly. My sauna has changed my life. And in the winter in New England, it saved me because of the light therapy, which you're going to tell us all about. But Brian, seriously, thank you and welcome.
Wow. Yeah, I feel so welcome. This is why I do what I do, for this type of transformation. That's so awesome.
Yeah, and my animals love it too for that. And I know that's a common thing I've seen on like your social media, that animals are in it, and my dogs go right up to that light. So I always say they're our best teachers. So
yeah, we're all animals. All the animals have mitochondria and respond to the light, and even nocturnal animals, there's a meaning for sun exposure and light, full spectrum light, incandescent light in their lives. So very common. Yeah, the cats and dogs and other, service animals. And there's some, SaunaSpace owners who their pets they're kind of fighting with their pets to get a spot in the sauna.
I'm very lucky my dogs are little. And but they just, I swear they know what the word is. I should actually be careful because they're sleeping right over there. When I say, okay, time to do the sauna, and they go, and then they go like running right over to it. They love it. They love it. And then when I'm taking a shower after, I just turn everything off and let them just kind of just stay in there like a warm little nest. They absolutely love it. So, all right. So let's tell people a little bit of a foundation for our conversation today about, people have heard me say a lot on my show because it's holistic, and that light, like sound and color and different foods and water, this is all information for our body. It's instructions for our body. And we have to think of being healthy holistically, not just because of our diet or to work out, but we haven't been educated as to the importance of all these other very important factors. So can you just give us basically 101, the Dr. Seuss version maybe of light and biology and how it's connected, why it's important?
Yeah, light is what we call light is a small portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, or electromagnetism. And it's a fundamental aspect of our reality. It's not just in the air around us from the sun and from radio waves from the stars and frequencies from the earth. It's actually within our bodies. Our bodies are much more bioelectric and quantum mechanical than they are chemical. All the chemistry that's going on in the body is really fundamentally controlled by electricity, controlled by electromagnetism, electric fields and magnetic fields, and their interplay and interaction. So we're highly subject and highly influenced by electromagnetism. And in that sense, really simply, we're like plants. We eat light from the sun, ancestrally anyway, before the modern era, and it sustains us. It has healing effects. It brings us energy. It has a aligning effects and frequency increasing effects and corrective effects. It's a nutrient. It's the most nourishing nutrient actually in our environment, more than food in a way. And it's something we're supposed to get every day. And it's a certain type of light. It's the light of nature. It's really the sunlight. It's analog full spectrum light. And it comes with a certain wavelength band that's called near infrared. And when we get this light, we're happy and healthy, and our ancestors got this. And so nowadays we don't get much of this. We have indoor lives primarily. When we're outdoors, we're clothed primarily. And so we're missing this key ingredient. And as much as we may correct our diet and eat healthy and eat fresh cooked foods and so forth, if we're not addressing or thinking about our light diet and how much light we're eating and the nature of the light we're eating, is it good light or is it junk light? It can be very powerfully healing or very adversely affecting our health. And it really is all parts of our life. It's not just on the cellular level and how our cells work and our organs work, but it's also our lifestyle and our circadian rhythm, our relationship with day and night. And that has influence on our sleep, which is the most important healing aspect of our lives, really is our sleep and the quality of our sleep. So, and this is actually, light is well understood in sort of the modern era in terms of consumerism and technology. Light is being used very powerfully to influence people's hearts and minds. When you go shopping, it's not just the sound, it's the light and how the light treatment is to influence and provoke certain behaviors. And so all that to say that light is such a huge thing. It's not just a peripheral aspect of our lives, it's a central aspect of our lives. And it's something that we really need to take seriously. So in terms of what is good light then? What is good light and what is junk light? What are we supposed to get and what are we supposed to avoid? It's very simply the light that we get in nature. And that is pretty much all sunlight. Although we did figure out as humans many tens of thousands of years ago to make our own light. So we can make a fire and we make firelight. And that is the same way the sun makes light. So all of that is called incandescent light, or like the incandescent bulb, what SaunaSpace uses, what my product has, it's the core technology of what we use. It's incandescent light. So incandescence is when a material gets heated up in nature. If you think of a iron rod that glows when you heat it,
Yep.
It's incandescing. So that's how nature produces light. And the sun's super hot. It's like 7,000 degrees, and it produces a certain spectrum of light that is basically a big portion of visible light and near infrared light, and then a long tail into infrared. And there's some blue light and there's some ultraviolet light. But it's that big bell curve of light and the tail and infrared that's full spectrum. It's all of those wavelengths in a very particular shape and form of light. And when you look at the sun, it's very interesting. It's like over 40% of it's near infrared. That's the portion of infrared that's next to red in the spectrum. That's technically 700 to 1500 nanometers. But what's really interesting is that near infrared light is also the light that penetrates deepest into the body. The only wavelength of light that penetrates bone tissue, like for doing light therapy in your brain or inside of your bones, is near infrared light. No other light is accessing those tissues. So back to the sun, when you stand out in the sun and you're absorbing this full, the sunlight, it's actually, in terms of photons per second you absorb, 70% of it is near infrared. So now when you think about it that way, it's like, whoa, the biggest component of the sunlight of what we're getting is in the near infrared band. It's not red light, even though it has the same effect, and it's not blue light or ultraviolet light. There's a lot of focus on ultraviolet light and the benefits of vitamin D production that come from ultraviolet light. And that's true in a dose-dependent sense. It's beneficial, but there's also no question that ultraviolet light is ionizing radiation. It's a killer wavelength. So what we get from the sun is a double-edged sword. We get killer wavelengths in terms of ultraviolet and blue, but that's a small portion. The large, much larger, like lion's share of the sunlight is this healing light called near infrared. And that's the light that penetrates the deepest. So even though we're getting some damage from the ultraviolet and the blue light, we're immediately being healed and corrected and reoptimized with this big dose of near infrared. And it has to do with how it triggers, it's many things in the body, but one of the main things is the mitochondrial response, because the mitochondria, the cytochrome protein absorbs this light. So there's an enzyme on the mitochondria called the cytochrome. That means cell of light. So that's the Latin root of that. And that all to say that absorbs these wavelengths and then promotes quite an array of healing effects in the cells that are quite amazing. Like there's anti-inflammatory effects, there's anti-aging effects, there's growth factor production, there's immune modulation that's occurring. And in terms of like in the tissue level or the organ level, you see accelerated wound and muscle healing and recovery from neuropathies and stroke. And really, it's quite, not to get into too much into the weeds of it, but there are over 7,000 light therapy studies now. We see light therapy essentially is the use of near infrared light to heal damaged and degenerate tissue and to reoptimize healthy living tissue. And so it's doing that all through the cells. But there's more than that even going on. There's this this concept of cellular melatonin that's occurring. So this is actually some newer research, Amy, that I just became aware of actually last year. It's relatively new research, actually. Dr. Mercola also talks about it, I think, now as well. I learned about it from him originally, and then it's quite fascinating. So melatonin is the body's #1 antioxidant. So it's designed to, it's constantly neutralizing free radicals and correcting things in the cells all the time. And it used to be thought that most of the melatonin is produced by the pineal gland. The blue light hits the pineal gland in the brain, in the middle of the brain, and produces melatonin that's released, after sunset. And the blood-based melatonin, that's where the melatonin is coming from. It turns out that that's not the case, that 94% of the body's melatonin is cellular based. It's already in the cell. Yep. And it's produced by near infrared light exposure. And it's produced right on the mitochondrial membrane where all, like 95% of the body's free radicals are being produced. So here we have another beautiful intelligent system that's constantly correcting the oxidative stress that's occurring from energy production in all the cells. And all we have to do is bathe the cells daily in near infrared light. So really the sun is not just healing you, it's refuel, it's filling up your pool of antioxidant reserves so that you have that available throughout the day when you're making energy to immediately correct some of the side effects that occur. And that's in all the cells of the body. And every cell of the body has mitochondria except red blood cells. So a built-in beautiful system, and other systems as well that are a clear indication that, wow, we need light. It needs to be near infrared light. And that's what we got ancestrally for when naked under the sun on a daily basis. And nowadays, unfortunately, due to lifestyle and the synthetic modern world, we're not getting that. We're getting actually the opposite. We're getting a lot of what's called junk light. So what I've described thus far is the good light. It's the light of nature. It's the natural light. It's nature's light. What modern man has created originally was the incandescent bulb, and it was great. And that's what we use, to power our sauna technology and our light therapy lamps. But invariably, the desire for cost, for a little bit more energy efficiency led to the new technologies, LEDs and fluorescent bulbs being produced that chopped out the infrared component, the healing component that we're talking about right now. So they took that out. It was perfect. I mean, wow. There definitely is some cost savings in terms of electricity and power utilization, but it's not actually not a whole lot. And unfortunately,
to the expense of your health and wellness.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened is we took out that healing component and we increased the overall emission of blue light.
Wow.
So all the LEDs, if you look at the spectrums, you can see them on our website on sauna.space and also online. Home LEDs have a large blue spike in them. If you look at the light spectrum, so they have a big portion of blue only light. They're primarily blue light, and they have a couple fluorescing compounds that give you like some yellow and orange. So you can get different colored LEDs, but they're primarily blue light and fluorescent bulbs as well. These bulbs, this light of LEDs and fluorescent bulbs are not, they're not incandescent. They're actually fluorescing. So LEDs are a little computer chip that you run electricity through it, and you have fluorescing light that occurs. It's a different way of producing light, and all that to say that the light emission's all blue. So what's wrong with blue? Well, blue, like I said before, is high energy visible light. It's not quite ionizing radiation like ultraviolet light, but it's right next to it on the spectrum.
Yeah.
So there's some mainstream awareness of this nowadays. We wear blue blockers. We use screen filters and things to reduce the amount of blue light. Why do we do that? Because it causes free radical formation in the cells. It's a oxidative stressor. It's a nervous stressor. And those of us who work at the computer all day long, which is a lot of us nowadays, the primary like money-making job providing, home providing engine is working at the computer all day. We're experiencing a lot of technology fatigue and screen fatigue. And one of the biggest aspects is the inordinately large amount of blue light that we're absorbing. And we're absorbing only blue light. We don't have any near infrared red that's coming along with it, unlike the sun. The sun has that blue, but it's got the near infrared in a much bigger dose that's reversing and correcting, all this blue stuff and this ultraviolet stuff. So indoors all day long, we remove the near infrared component that we're normally getting, and we've increased the amount of blue that we are getting, the junk light. And it has a lot of damaging effects on the body, on the cells, but also on the mind in terms of neuropsychiatric effects, and it affects the mood. And working at the computer is associated with migraines and headaches, and blue light in the morning messes up your circadian rhythm for the day. Blue light after dark adversely affects your quality of your sleep, which then leads to reduced testosterone the next day, especially for men. That is a big problem, but also for all of us. It's like this pervasive problem that in modern life is really hard to escape. Most homes have built-in LED lighting now, and we all work at the computer all day long. And
let's not forget satellites are just blasting us 24/7 with 5G radiation overhead, cell towers. We're just constantly bathed in it, which is one of the things that I know we're going to talk about with the SaunaSpace. I call it the tent. Your sauna is you have the EMF Faraday cage. That's an option, because that's worth its weight in gold right there, because unfortunately there's really very few places probably on the whole planet you can go that you're not getting zapped by EMFs.
Yeah, nowadays, and it's good that you break that up. So thus far we've been talking about electromagnetism, but primarily visible light and infrared light. What about all the other aspects of the EMF spectrum? So nowadays, there's like a billion times more man-made EMF in our environment than there was, like I say, about 100 years ago or something. And it's mostly microwave. Actually, there's some radio wave and cell phone, and television, broadband, but it's primarily in the microwave spectrum. It's primarily cell phone signal and satellite. And that is another factor in our environment that, just like with the blue light, the synthetic blue light that's also flickering, which is its own issue.
Yes,
we're
flickering.
We're designed to get light. We're designed to get the light of nature and the light of the sun, and that's what we evolved to benefit from. Anything that we haven't evolved and been with for a long time, like from an evolutionary perspective, we're not really handling that well. So we don't have any biological programming for 24-hour electromagnetic stress. like the microwave signal is. In fact, ancestral humans never had 24-hour stress. All of our environmental stress is intermittent. So, temperature changes and access and deprivation to food and, danger in the environment, it all comes and then it goes.
It was acute rather than chronic.
It was never chronic. So these chronic sources of environmental stress are very damaging to us, and our bodies don't know what to do with it. In fact, with EMFs, it's almost a cognitive dissonance kind of thing, because there's no lion attacking you, and you're consciously thinking there's no problem here, but your cells are saying we're undergoing a lot of oxidative stress. It's damaging us. The peroxynitrite production from EMF exposure leads to DNA damage over time. And so it's something that's very damaging in a slow cumulative way. It's really, in my opinion, like a new silent spring. And it's something that also is very pervasive. Like you said, you can't avoid it anywhere. So what do we do about it? We can minimize our exposure, and certainly we shouldn't be sleeping with our phone on next to our head when we go to sleep. But what's interesting is beyond the fact that we've created this sauna that within which you can be protected from the man-made EMF, the sauna experience itself corrects and reverses the damage the EMF causes. So this is some interesting research from Dr. Martin Paul, wherein basically the peroxynitrite is this thing that the EMF stress causes, and that is a species that damages through a biological cycle the DNA in the body slowly. So, wearing a cell phone in your pocket for a few days is equivalent to X-raying your gonads, basically. So,
or some people put them in their shirt pocket right in front of their heart. I see a lot of men do that. I'm like, oh my God, that's like, and an electromagnetic.
And for those of you who are skeptical about the research, there's so much research out there. You can look it up yourself in the EMF portal and other places. If you look at like all of the research into the relationship of the exposure to cell phone signal and disease or illness, you see the highest concentration of disease associated with cell phone use is brain tumors and head tumors and neck tumors. And so if it's just so obvious, like we hold the phone here all day long, day in and day out, and it's very damaging to us long term. So it opens the voltage gated calcium channels in the cells. We have the highest concentration of those in the nerves and in the heart. And so the associations that we're seeing to disease, there's still long-term studies being done, but we're seeing, disease association with primarily there in the heart and the brain and the nervous system. And so it's a thing that's out there, but it's not something that we're necessarily just stuck with. We can correct it. And one of the most powerful ways is sauna. So the sauna session causes production of tetrahydrobiopterin, BH4, which competes with the peroxynitrite. So the sauna session is literally reversing the damage, the oxidative stress damage that EMF exposure is causing. So getting in a sauna, any sauna actually, and doing a proper sauna session, that we should talk about what that means, is helping constantly rejuvenate and reoptimize your body from this man-made EMF exposure that you really just can't escape anymore.
Wow. You just said so much there. And yes, I definitely want to get into the SaunaSpace products and why they are definitely superior, because you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. I like to call it the ultimate health and detoxification multitask because you're getting the photobiomodulation, you're getting the detox from the sweat therapy, and then you're getting the EMF protection. So it's a triple whammy, as opposed to what most people think about when they think of a sauna. They think of the finished sauna, like that wooden box where you go in, you get the rocks hot, takes an hour to get it hot, and you got to pour the water on the rocks and you sit there and sweat, which is great. You're getting the sweat, the passive sweat detox, but you're not getting the photobiomodulation benefits or the EMF, obviously. So before we get into all the products, can you please explain what photobiomodulation is?
Yeah, photobiomodulation is a fancy technical term for the light therapy experience I discussed earlier in our conversation. Photobiomodulation means light controlling biology, basically. And photobiomodulation, that technical definition is what I said before. It's the use of red and near infrared light to heal damaged and degenerate tissue and to reoptimize function of healthy tissue and healthy cells. So you shine this light on the cell or the tissue and it begins to correct it, how it's working and how the cells in the tissue in a tissue area are working with each other. And then they sort of reoptimize and work better, and the organs work better, and then the body works better. So you see in the research, it's being used for treatment now for really almost everything from autoimmune issues to neuropathic issues to osteoarthritic pain, just joint pain and muscle pain, to inflammation related issues like people who have leaky gut and edema and things of that nature, to also to immune function. So light therapy is an immune modulator. It makes your immune system work better. It doesn't suppress it or hyperactivate it. It actually improves its function. So we saw that in the era of the pandemic with various very intriguing studies in the use of near infrared light to treat viral pneumonia and to treat active COVID cases, but also for recovery afterward, and sauna as well, actually. So photobiomodulation is it's just kind of a technical term. It's also referred to as light therapy, low-level light therapy, red light therapy, near infrared light therapy. But we're referring primarily to red and near infrared light. So
yes, because there's a difference, and maybe you could talk about that. How, because there's some products that have near infrared and some have just the red therapy. So do you want to differentiate what each is?
Yeah. So it's very important to understand the difference. They both do the same thing.
Okay.
If a photon of red light hits that cytochrome enzyme on the mitochondria, it triggers this effect that we're discussing, these healing effects. If a near infrared photon hits the same enzyme, it does the same thing. So they both trigger the same response.
Okay.
The difference is tissue penetration. Red light doesn't penetrate deeply. So if we have a red light therapy product, like, the most common are LED based red light therapy panels, that's only stimulating the surface tissue, the skin, basically. It's not going through the bone. It's not going deeply into the organs of the body at all. The difference is near infrared, because of how because of the structure of the body. Basically, the body has an optical window. Water absorbs most of light in the infrared region, and hemoglobin and melanin, the pigment in our skin, absorbs the really high energy light like ultraviolet and blue light. And so there's kind of this window that's created that near infrared light is centered upon, within which that window, the photons, the wavelengths penetrate most deeply into the human body. So near infrared light, unlike red light, and unlike any other light on the spectrum, including far infrared light, near infrared light penetrates 4 to 5 inches into the body on average. So when we're sitting in front of a light therapy source that's near infrared, the wavelengths are going immediately into our liver and our guts and our brain and our, deep into the muscle, into the bone, and triggering these healing corrective effects in the deep tissues. So if you're going to bother to do light therapy, in my opinion, Amy, and you're going to spend 20 minutes or 30 minutes, ideally, optimally, it's near infrared centric and it's near infrared based, because you're stimulating all of the tissues in the body at once and not just your skin. Like, we all want to look and feel better, and we can do so with near infrared light. We can stimulate the skin, but also the deep organs of the body. And that's where the the primary function and the malfunction really is going on. So
And the mitochondria, right? I mean, is that necessary to, because that's associated with the mitochondrial effects, right?
yeah,
In there. Yep.
the response system in the cell is primarily the mitochondria that we're talking
Yeah.
when we're talking about photobiomodulation. So the near infrared light hits that protein on the mitochondria, and it triggers ATP production and nitric oxides released out of the cell. And then there's reactive oxygen species that are created that work in concert with the ATP and the nitric oxide to promote these secondary healing effects, the mitochondrial functions, and anti-inflammatory mediators are produced, growth factors are produced. There's corrective effects on the transcription factors. So how the cell reads itself, how the DNA is read, the blueprint is read, that process is corrected. So that's what's generally called anti-aging.
Corrected. I mean, that's just such a powerful word, excuse me, to say correct. I mean, it's just, that is just like mind blowing.
Yeah, it's really quite fascinating. All the things that it does. It's all about, if we think about disease, and I'm not a healthcare provider, Amy. I'm just a really curious man, and I've thought of, I've been doing this for a long time, but clearly, and this was my own healing story, is that I think the biggest contributing factor to disease is poison. There's other factors, in the disease formula, but the biggest one is poison, and that comes in many forms from our environment. Yeah. We think of chemical, yes, and in the food, in the water, but electromagnetic, and also light, which is a part of the electromagnetic stimulus from the environment. But there's also other energetic poisons, relationships and love and self-image and various other things that all poison us over time. And sometimes we're poisoning ourselves, unfortunately. But if we purify the body, so we remove the poison, and then we reoptimize the function and correct the damage that the poison's caused, we make everything perfect again. And we can do so so powerfully with light therapy and with sauna together.
It's like a hard reset.
Yeah, it's you can't just walk around and correct and the functions of the body if there's poisons in there. You need to get them out. But once you get the poisons out, there's all this deterioration and derangement that needs to be fixed and corrected.
Yeah, it's like, trying to spend all this money on, grass-fed, organic, this and that, best supplement in the world, but you're dealing with a dirty fish tank. It's like you need to, I just love your point about you really need to detoxify and clear out so you have I don't want to say a clean vessel, but an optimally functioning vessel to then nourish, to work from. And we are a result of everything in our environment, whether it be music, sound, relationships, light, nutrition, water, our sleep quality. I mean, we're a summation of everything that we're exposed to in every regard, visible and invisible. And I always get amazed when people forget about the power of the mind-body connection and how all these things are affecting the way you're feeling, which is affecting the way you're thinking, and then affects your behavior and your activities and your belief in yourself, ability to do whatever, talk to that person that you need courage to talk to, or, go take that walk, or whatever it is. It's just, what do you think is making the thoughts in your brain? Well, it's the chemicals in your body are making the synapses fire that are making the thought happen in your brain, but something is making those chemicals happen. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, well, something is running.
Yeah. We're a summation of the cells in our body, and the mind, it's mind over body is a common adage that we say, but there's also body over mind.
Yes,
your body,
it's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street. The state of being, like the way I like the way Joe Dispenza describes it, like the state of being is the state of the mind and the state of the body together. Yeah. And the state of being is how we are and who we are. And it's a combination of those two things. But you know, we just, as humans, we as from a survival standpoint, we create programs and we make assumptions based on information and input from our environment. And that's a very helpful tool. It helps us categorize the world around us and understand things and find a state of peace. But it also is this power. It's also its own double-edged sword, because we can create these programs that are bad programs and loops that we get stuck in. And then we need a powerful shift, or some help to get out of it. That's why that's what I love so much about light therapy and sauna together. Is it's not just that light therapy corrects and sauna detoxifies. It's the sauna detoxifies and corrects as well, and the light therapy has a corrective and it has its own kind of cleansing effect as well. And the synergy of the two is so powerful together. A lot of people will say, well, I've got my red light therapy and I've got a sauna, I've already got those tools. But it's not just the time saving thing, which is for me is huge. I only want to spend 20 minutes and get this. If I can get this done and feel good, then so much the better. I don't have an hour and a half, for a sauna session every time. But it's more than that. When you use near infrared light to heat the body from an incandescent bulb, and you're doing like in our SaunaSpace product, you are heating the body and photobiomodulating at the same time. There's a synergy of the light and the heat therapies that are going on in the cell. For example, cell detox and detoxification is very intensive on the body. It's very energetically intensive and demanding in terms of nutrients and minerals. And when you detox all the toxicants, like the cadmium and the heavy metals and other things, petrochemicals, you have to replace it with good minerals, so you have to have a good diet and stuff like that. But anyway, when you're doing sauna in the sauna space and you're detoxing with the light therapy, you're fueling the cell. You're giving the cell more energy and essentially making the detoxification less stressful on the cell and less stressful on the body. And you're supporting the elimination at the same time that the light therapy on its own is activating the light therapy systems and reducing inflammation and having these immune modulation effects. And so the light therapy is a powerful tool to help make the sauna therapy more accessible, where everybody should do sauna. Sauna increases your health span. Regular sauna use increases the years of your life that you're healthy. It reduces your risk of dying of all things.
And the quality of those years.
Right. That's, the whole, I love that word health span, where it's not just
lifespan. To lifespan. Yeah, totally. The differentiation is key.
Yeah. But there's a lot of people who, due to their health situation, can't really handle a regular sauna. People with autoimmune issues, people with thermoregulatory problems, where they get hot and cold, and maybe even they've been told by their healthcare provider, like, you can't handle a sauna and this and that. We find that with our approach to sauna, it's more gentle, even though it's more quick and you sweat faster. The light therapy component really makes it more gentle and more easy, lower air temperature, even though the sweating is fast. And with our design, you can use, you can start out with just 1 or 2 bulbs in the sauna session to titrate up to regular use. And so what we offer, which really is one of my primary missions, is to make sauna accessible and enjoyable too, and really fun, for everybody. But all that to say that when you do light therapy in the sauna, it's something that's, I think, a lot more effective and a lot easier to use for all people and all types, in all sort of situations. And actually, I don't know if you've paid attention lately, Amy, but we came out with last year a product I had many years ago called the 3 light panel. So we have 2 different versions of the panel. So there's those, like Dr. Mercola and some others are now using 6 or 7 bulbs in the sauna with a combination of 2 panels to make their session even more quick and more stimulating. And so that's kind of like on the more optimized end of the spectrum, when you've used sauna for a long time and you're really well acclimated and you don't have any health concerns, or you're really or you're young or whatever. But on the other end of the spectrum, you can start out with 1 or 2 bulbs and start out with a 5-minute session. And as long as it takes you, that's why we offer a 100-day trial, because it usually takes people a little bit to appreciate and understand. But some people, I've had customers that used only 1 or 2 bulbs for many months and didn't use a 4 bulb, didn't turn on 4 bulbs for 20 minutes for a year of use. And even in that extreme case, we have an example of someone who didn't have a sauna access any other way. And now they have, that at home, the sauna space at home, and they're doing it. And especially like in the autoimmune world, you can look this up, on our website, in the customer reviews. There's customers who are dealing with fibromyalgia and MS and other types of issues like that, where they are not able to really do much at all in terms of heat therapy initially. And here they are, some of them even start with a photon with 1 light initially, but here they are, 6 months or a year later, and they're doing sauna like the rest of us.
Well, it's really like the lazy person's health hack, because all you have to do is just sit there in front of it. You don't have to feel motivated to go to the gym, or, I don't feel like taking a run or whatever it is. Like, come on, you just sit there, I mean, it's kind of done for you. And I'm always constantly amazed, I really like to do it at night before, like at the end of my day, and then I can take a nice shower and all that stuff. But, I've always been amazed every time that I feel like I'm too tired to do it, or I'll do it tomorrow, whatever. And I just all right, I'll just do a couple minutes. As soon as I get in there in front of the light, I'm just like, oh, and I'm always amazed at how much better I feel. It is just like a mood changer almost instantly. Talk about sleep. And I know that was a big thing for you. So you had what started your journey, Brian, was you had bad acne and insomnia and adrenal fatigue. And that's what started your whole quest to go down this path of researching. Well, let me not speak for you. Why don't you just quickly explain for people your journey and the things that, from all your customers, the things that your products are treating, like MS and autoimmune, skin, cancer, all this stuff.
Yeah, well, Amy, I'm not a healthcare provider, and I can't speak to treatment of anything. But in the beginning, my story was no different than anybody else. I just wanted to look and feel better. I wanted a solution to my problem, so I was very self-oriented in that fashion. It was what you said. I had acne, insomnia, mind racing. I was lethargic and irascible. I had kind of low energy levels. But the acne was on my body. It wasn't, so if you met me on the street, this sort of a amorphous array of symptoms that I described, it wasn't obvious. And people were like, well, what's wrong with you, man? Like, just buck up. And
you seem fine.
I felt I essentially was burning the candle at both ends. I was doing too much, working too much. That was at the end of my college career. And I wasn't pleased with the situation, because I was still really young. I mean, I'm not that old now, but that was like 10 or 12 years ago, or more now, actually. But I wasn't pleased, and I didn't like what the future, portended, because if I'm this young and I'm having all these issues, like, where am I going to be in 20 or 30 years? So I got recommended to take Accutane at one point. That's an acne drug that's not even on the market anymore. It's quite toxic. And so I was like, I want to find some root cause solution to my problems. And I got on the internet and started researching, and I kept coming up with sauna, not just in the PubMed research and the published literature, but also in terms of cultural use. Like, every human culture has a sauna tradition of some kind. And then we see in the literature, you live longer, Your risk of dying of all things reduces. Whether it's heart disease, your risk of dementia is dramatically reduced, your risk of stroke, and so many other things. It's like, whoa, 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 wow. And so at the end of my research,
weight loss is
there's,
huge.
I mean, any disease category you can think of, there's pretty and compelling sauna research in it. But also, yeah, looking and feeling better. The sauna session is equivalent to like a 70 to 100 kilowatt workout. So you're losing weight in there, and you're also detoxing the toxins that the body stores in fat tissue. So it's, I would argue, a safer way to lose weight.
Yes,
Than,
my skin, and like I said, my mood. I'd say what you just said, plus skin and mood are like the biggest things for me.
yeah, and that was something that was part of my healing story. So I'll finish my story, and then let's talk about mood and neuropsychiatric things too, because it's important to touch on that. So at the end of my research, I found this concept called the electric incandescent light bath by Dr. Kellogg. And it's Dr. John Harvey Kellogg had a sanitarium in Michigan, in Battle Creek. And in 1891, a few years after incandescent light bulbs were invented, he saw these light bulbs and he said, hey, there's something special about this light. Let's make a sauna out of it. Let's use it in the clinic. He proceeded to document a study of 50,000 chronically ill patients, over 200,000 log sauna sessions in the early 20th century. And he wrote a book about it called Light Therapeutics, published in 1910, which is fascinating to me that 120 years, over 110 years ago, there was such advanced understanding of using man-made art, man-made light sources, incandescent light sources to heal. And it wasn't just him. There were others. There was Dr. Giadali, and this was all, and other, there were a lot of health experts who were using incandescent light to heal with. This is right around the era of Tesla, and a lot of magical stuff going on, Arthur Dinshaw and some others in the early 20th century. And then this information was lost, but you can read this book online. It's called Light Therapeutics. And in his book, he discussed how he was effectively treating every type of chronic disease you can think of, from autoimmune issues to eczema, to depression, and just on and on and on. It was really fascinating. So I was like, whoa. And I saw this modern doctor's rendition of the electric light bath. So I basically built my own, and I used it right before bed, and I slept well, finally. And then I used it the next day right before bed, and I slept well again. And so my insomnia was gone, essentially, in a couple of uses. And I proceeded to continue to use it for many months. And it was at the end of that I realized, wow, my skin looks way better. My energy levels are way different, way better. I have a lot more patience. I'm not like super irascible anymore. And I have a lot more, my mood and focus. So these qualitative aspects of cognitive function really improved. And just having that ability to, especially me as a business owner, to wake up and work a long time and not feel really depleted, in the afternoon, and not be a slave to coffee and stimulants, to get through the day, is really, it's a game changer. So I had this epiphany after using this for 6 months, and I eventually formed the company. And here I am today. It was a lot of, it was 10 years of obsession and pouring my soul and heart into one thing. But it's really paid off. It's really transformed the lives of so many people. It continues to, we continue to do well, and we're coming out with all kinds of new products and upgrades all the time. But I think that's the most fascinating thing, Amy, about the sauna, because once you clean up, you do a general strong detox, and your skin improves, and overall organ function and stuff, things get better. It's the cognitive function and the continued balance that the sauna brings to me in the morning. Yeah. That is, for me, especially being an entrepreneur, being in business, it's that cognitive function that even subtle increase in brain and how my brain works in terms of recall and decision making and focus, that is such a game changer to my performance and my productivity. So I noticed that when I use the sauna, even those, those mornings where I'm like, I don't know if I have time,
Right.
like you mentioned, I get
Mm-hmm.
in there anyway, and it puts me in a flow state. It
Mm-hmm.
has a calibrating effect on the day.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day, the decisions just come easier. The brain works better. And we see that in the light therapy research and also in the sauna research. We see improved cognitive function across the board, from athletic performance to doing mental exercises, to decision making, to recall, to memory.
Memory. Mm-hmm.
And the brain is kind of the master organ. The nervous system is controlling everything. So more than anything else, I find that to be such a huge, powerful benefit to my life, and to have that each day, more than anything else. But I know too that ever since I started using my product, and again, it's more than 10 years now. Like, it's a long time now I've been doing it. I don't get sick. I don't get sick anymore. I don't, you meet a lot of people nowadays that they're constantly have a cold,
Yep.
or something coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of prescription drugs taken increases, over the years and over time. And
Mm-hmm.
here we have this rejuvenation machine, I like to call it. So it's light
Yeah.
therapy, it's heat therapy,
That's
it's
cool.
also grounding therapy, because the grounding mat,
Yep.
the EMF protection, if you go with the Faraday model, is sort of a sensory deprivation experience where you get a break from that 24-hour stress. But it's also an amazing opportunity to do breath work and meditation and mindfulness exercise whilst you're already in there. And so you're doing all of these things, and you're also getting some time to yourself.
Yep.
And that's something we should talk about at the end, is we don't take time for ourselves. We don't have that intention habitually in the West and in the modern world, that intention um, of proactively engaging in like self-care. I've got a family, I've got work, I have to do all this. We're all in, or many of us anyway, are in savior complex. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just do this next thing for this next person. And I'm a giver, and I'm a lover. I'm going to take care of them. And then, but at the same time, like, your house is on fire, your body as your house. And so going in the sauna is, on top of everything else, it's a self-respect, self-worth thing, where you get in there and you get, even if that's the only time of your day, you get time to yourself, where you're just quiet and you just dive deep into yourself and do whatever type of meditative or concentration exercise, or even just if you want to read a book, it's intentionally taking time to yourself, where you don't have any environmental sensory stimulus other than these ancestral components of near infrared light and heat coming from the light, and the rest is quietude. It's really important. It's an important thing that our ancestors had. They had long periods of silence, really, and solitude.
Yeah.
And we walk around with a thousand things like attracting us and stimulating us all the time.
And constantly on. I mean, everything's constantly on. I mean, they slept under the stars, and what your product has done is allowed us to recreate, kind of like being at the campfire at night, and just
Mhm.
sleeping under the stars with the firelight, and that all you hear is crickets, or the light of the moon. It's like it's such a essential part of our soul's ability to connect. And I do the exact same thing in my sauna. Either I listen to my listening to smile music, which is a healing frequency sound therapy, and of course I have it outside of the sauna. I don't have it inside with me, so I'm protected by the EMF. Or I have complete silence, and I love that. I love that. I feel like you said, it's a sensory deprivation chamber type experience, because you feel like you're either in the sun or by the fire.
Mhm.
And I find it's not so warm like a Finnish sauna, where it's like almost borderline uncomfortable, like a sweat lodge. Although I guess you could stay in that long, but I usually go for about 30 minutes average, but I don't ever do more than 45. So I'm sure over 45 would be like a sweaty mess. But actually, that was one of my questions too, that I know that you usually recommend 20, 25 minutes in the sweat component, getting your core temperature up is a big factor that you're a goal, um, as opposed to being like, let's say the photon, right? Like, where does one benefit come in the other end? Like, is it important to always get sweaty, Brian, to really get the maximum benefit? Or can you sometimes just say you're really short on time and you just do like 5-10 minutes, and maybe you basically don't even need a shower, but you've gotten in there for a little bit? Is that better than nothing, so to speak?
It all is, because you're getting that photobiomodulation
Okay.
effect, and you're
Yeah.
getting a mild heating effect. I
Yeah.
guess when we
Okay.
talk about sweating and
Mm.
sauna and these clinically observed benefits of long-term studies of people using sauna, we should understand clearly, what is a sauna session. A sauna session, according to this research that indicates that it's ameliorates disease and leads to longer, more prosperous life. It's when you when you raise core temperature 3 degrees and you sweat out 1 pound of water on average, at least. And and you do that 3 times a week. And so you can actually weigh yourself before and after the sauna session, just with a digital scale, the water loss. The sweat loss is how much weight you lost. And you can measure yourself with a digital thermometer as well to see what your baseline is. And you want to go up like 3 degrees. Usually in a SaunaSpace session with the 4-bulb unit, it takes about 15 minutes or so to increase the core temp like 2.5 degrees, and then you'll begin to sweat. Sometimes for some people, it's only 10 minutes. But then you'll continue to sweat profusely from like a 2 to 2.5 degree increase to all the way up to a 3 degree core temperature increase. You can actually go a little bit more than that, but just from a precautionary standpoint, we say, look, 1 pound of water sweat out and a 3 degree core temperature increase is where you can gauge that and validate, I just had my effective sauna session. And if you do that 3 times a week, that's where you're in alignment with the clinically demonstrated benefits, where we're looking at people that do sauna for 20 years and we see, oh, wow, the guys that do sauna 1 day a week have 50% reduction in risk of cardiac disease and 50% reduction in risk of dementia. And then the guys that do sauna 3 day a week have an additional like 30 or 40% decrease in that risk. So the more saunas, the better. 3 times a week seems to be optimal. And ideally, yes, you're sweating out 1 pound of water and raising core temperature 3 degrees. But certainly if you get in for less time, you're still having some benefit because you're still heating up the cells. And keep in mind too, most of these sauna studies are only looking at the heat aspect. So they're only looking at the effect of hyperthermic therapy, of raising cell temperature. They're not looking at all at photobiomodulation, at light therapy. And that makes it more complicated, because like in the SaunaSpace product, if you want to clinically examine it, like what's doing what, is it the light therapy that resulted in XYZ amelioration of this disease, or is it the heat therapy? Well, some of that I feel like is really like right-brained. It's really just like, what does it matter if the results are good? What does it matter? But certainly if you get in the SaunaSpace sauna just for a little bit, you still are getting benefit, and you'll feel that more than anything else, that neuropsychiatric benefit, your mood. You'll feel calmer, you'll feel more zen, a little more relaxed, more energy, more pumped, more kind of like de-stressed, you feel kind of de-stressed. And that's what's really amazing about the photon light. So the photon light is a light and heat therapy device. It is heating the cells locally if you use it in a targeted fashion, but you can also just have it next to you like a firelight.
That's what I've got. Mine's right here.
And that's what you mentioned before. And that's the way our customers are using it more than anything else now, is using it for local relief for sure. But then throughout the day, just having it next to you, it has a correcting effect on your light environment. It's bringing in the near infrared that you're missing indoors. It cancels out blue light and flickering light from your overhead LEDs and from your screens too. So it's really helpful for screen fatigue and technology fatigue. But yeah, it's just like a little bonfire right next to you
I use it as my nightlight. I
You can
use
use
it
it as your nightlight too.
as soon as the sun goes down. I don't use the house lights anymore unless it's just a situation where I have to for like a minute. But even in the morning, I wake up early with my dogs, 4:30, 5 o'clock, and it's dark, and that's what we've got, and that's what I use at night all the time. And whenever friends or people come over, they always love being in my place because it's so cozy. It's like, what is that light?
Yeah, it has a vibe to it,
Yeah.
definitely, and that's really, we
Come
get
around
really
the fireplace with me, type thing.
that's the best way to
Mm,
understand it.
yeah.
It's sometimes I get a little technical with the with the science of it, but if we think about it simply, it's increasing our frequency. It makes us
Mm-hmm.
feel good, and
Mm-hmm.
it evokes that time, that
In our
ageless
in our
experience, that
ancestors, in
of
our
the ancestral experience of the
yes,
campfire,
the
the light down
DNA.
low. That's this firelight spectrum that
Mm-hmm.
is a place everyone can come together and relax
Mm.
and
Yeah.
feel good. And you can have it with the photon. You can have that anywhere. It just easy. It just plugs in. You
Mm-hmm.
can use it any room of the house, any time of day. And certainly there are folks that, as long as they're in the room, they're using it most of the day, like all day long. And after dark, it's a great source of clean, healthy light after dark that won't mess with your sleep.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I can attest to that. So what he's referring to as the photon is basically one of the big red singular bulbs. That's what he's referring to as. It's kind of like a single bulb lamps type thing,
Mhm.
as opposed to we've got the two tent like things. And again, on my Awakening Aphrodite podcast, Fit Amy TV on YouTube, you can see my tent right there. I have it on my Instagram as well all the time. Can you tell us about what's actually now the sauna or the tent, as I like to say?
Yeah, the all of the products are powered by this thermalite bulb that I've invented that is basically kind of an optimized incandescent heat lamp
Yep.
that emits more light therapy than a typical heat lamp. And so it's a big 250-watt red stained glass incandescent bulb. And whether it's the photon or that's the targeted therapy portable therapy light that's outside of the sauna, or it's the tungsten infrared panels that are in the sauna, it's all the same technology. So the photon only has one bulb on a board. It's a lamp. It's a therapy
Mm-hmm.
lamp that's outside. In the sauna, our standard sauna has a 4 bulb infrared panel that has
Panel.
4
Yeah.
of these thermalite bulbs. And we also have a 3 bulb version, as I mentioned, that can be used in lieu of the 4 light or added onto the 4 light for
Mm-hmm.
like a super sauna for for more of the biohacker, more the people who want the best of the best. And that's certainly not for everybody. But the sauna consists of basically a 4 light panel with our handcrafted organic portable enclosure that's made of organic cotton and organic bamboo and organic basswood, and everything's healthy and untreated
Mm-hmm.
and elegant. And
It's beautiful.
it's all about a minimalist sort of aesthetic, so that when we go in there, we don't have distractions. It evokes this ancestral, kind of primal,
Mm-hmm.
homey feel
Natural
that's
materials,
that's
fabrics.
natural.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Very
we don't
important.
want synthetic materials, because when
Mm-hmm.
you heat those up, they can off gas chemicals. So we
Mm-hmm.
like to keep it natural, and we like to keep it functional.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a little curtain. You can see it behind Amy right there, but it
Mm-hmm.
has a little curtain that opens and closes, and you go in and you sit on a stool that we provide with it in front of 4 bulbs, and you have a towel on the stool on the floor, and you're naked, and you face the lamps, and you rotate every few minutes or so
Yeah.
with respect to the lamps, and you stay in there as long as you want. Ideally, you sweat out a pound of water or so, even if you work up to that. And that's the experience. It's a little portable tent that's 4 foot wide, 4 foot deep, and about 5 foot tall, and it's
And
kind of a trapezoid.
I'll just add, that's part of the reason, that was the final reason why I pulled the trigger and got one, because I have a very small place, and that's a big concern for people looking for saunas. Like I told you in the beginning of the show, I've been looking for years, and I don't have a big house or a yard to put anything in. So your tent fits in my little room here. and also you have a shower conversion kit, which I think is brilliant, and I want to get my mom one to put in her tub. So share with us that, because a lot of people, space is a blocking factor.
And I've always been all about providing as many solutions as possible because
Mm-hmm.
everybody has a different living space,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
some people actually already have a sauna, so they can just buy the sauna panel, and
Oh,
they
wow.
just put it, the 4 light panel or the 3 light
Great.
panel in their sauna. They can upgrade it. So
Yeah, I didn't think of
there's
that.
either that option to upgrade your existing sauna, or our full sauna. We have the Illuminati sauna, which is our base sauna with the grounding mat included, and as I've described. And then we also have our Faraday model, which has a extra EMF blocking silver liner system in it. So you can always upgrade to the Faraday later. But for
Yeah.
those of you who just don't quite have the space, we do have the sauna shower conversion kit, which, it's a little less aesthetically, it's the aesthetic experience is lesser because it doesn't have a grounding mat, and it's
Yeah.
essentially involves a big shower curtain that we make, and shower rods that encloses a full bath if you already have that, and it's not be used concurrently obviously with the bath itself. So it works best for people who have like an extra bathroom in their
Yeah.
house that
Leave
they're
it in
not really
there. Mm-hmm.
using.
Mm-hmm.
And the light panel sits on a pedestal, and you sit on a stool and cross from it, and you box in the front or the top and the front, and you create a little sauna space in your
Yeah.
shower. And yeah, it's not for everybody, but for people who that's the only thing that they have, they really love that. And
Mm-hmm.
and it's also because it's the same components as the sauna, the light panel and the stool.
Yeah.
You can always upgrade later to by purchasing the enclosure and having, what Amy has behind her, what most people buy. So
Mm-hmm.
we're all about like solutions, to get this into your life. And for those of you who are like, wow, I don't even have room for that, there's the photon therapy
Yeah.
light,
The single bulb.
which
Mm-hmm.
you can use a lot
Mm-hmm.
for relief, for anything that you have on your body, and also for the reasons described, to just have this happy little firelight next to you. Wouldn't you want a little fireplace next to you all day long? So it's a great way to start out, and it does provide benefit as well. And maybe that's the shift that you need to start, taking your health more seriously, and eventually, think about the sauna. But definitely it comes in a lot of different options. People even buy our sauna panel sometimes and convert a small closet
Mm-hmm.
or other small space. And if that's the only thing that you can figure out for yourself, then that's wonderful. And for those of you who are like, I don't have time, I don't have resources, I don't have anything, you can fill up your bathtub with the hottest water possible
Yeah.
and get in there, and you can get a nice little sauna session, a
Yep.
nice little sweat therapy in there.
That's what I used to do before I had
And
my
and
sauna.
you
Took a
know, you
really
you
hot bath. Mm-hmm.
it's all about intentionality. It's
Mm-hmm.
all about, do I want to heal? Yeah, I want to heal. There's all the science on why all these things work. And I think it's important to not get distracted by all of the options in the health world, and all the things you can do for your health. The solutions are actually quite simple: diet, light, sauna and sweating, um,
Sleep,
um, sleep,
water.
water. I mean, and you pick one of those things and start out with it, and you
Mm-hmm.
eventually build, and then you have more strength and you're more optimized, and you can
Mm-hmm.
start shifting your lifestyle and getting more of what you want.
Mm-hmm. And to that matter, back to the money thing, like just get out in the sun more, get outside more. We're just not designed to be inside. Forget about all the 5G exposure and artificial outgassing from rugs and paint and, all the blue light toxic, we're getting zapped. Get outside in the sun more. And I love what you're saying in the
Mhm.
beginning of the show. It's so important for people to remember that, the sun is a spectrum, and the morning light is different wavelength than the afternoon light, noon light, and the dusk light, the light at sunset is different. And all of those different frequencies of light have different biological effects on our cells, and their instructions to the cells to be in rhythm with the harmony of all of the planets and all of the atmosphere and stuff that we're not aware of, we understand. But that's why the different exposures at different times are so powerful and important. So try to get outside a couple times a day. And if you can't, just get out at least once a day without glasses, without sunblock, without sunscreen, without technology if you can, which I'm working on myself. I often have my phone because I like to listen to podcasts. But just get outside. If at the very least you do that, I mean, there's nothing more free than that, right?
Right. The sun is free, and that's
For now. Hopefully it'll
for now.
continue. Although Bill Gates is trying to block the sun with his crazy schemes.
Yeah, it is challenging though. There's a lot of,
That's for sure.
in the upper climes, there's many days where it's cloudy or it's cold out. And when we say get out in the sun, the way our ancestors did is they were out in the sun with their torso exposed, where the primary organs of the body are. So maybe for reasons of weather or modesty or whatever, not everybody can be outside for 3 hours a day with their shirt off.
Right.
But that's the ideal. So as much as you can get, but if you can't, there's certainly the SaunaSpace sauna doesn't replace the sun at all, but it is a way to get a big daily dose of that near infrared light, that healing portion of the sun that we're just not getting if we're not, outside with a lot of skin exposed.
I love it. And then you got the EMF protection if you buy that component, that shield, and the sweat therapy. I just got to ask you before we finish, what is the benefit of the passive sweating? Because I know sweating is a big part of the detox, but as opposed to if I'm sweating from exercising, Brian, how is it different when I'm passively sweating beneficially when in something like a sauna?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a common question, and actually it's a misunderstanding in the mainstream. There's that weird Natural Geographic article where they poo-pod saunas, not effective for like sweating. They disdained sweating. They derided sweating as a way to detox. But in the article, they reference sweat from a person running on a treadmill as not having a high toxin concentration. And yet when you see in sauna research, you see actually you can sweat out pretty much every type of toxicant out there in the world. You can sweat mercury out. You can sweat pesticides and heavy metals out of all kinds. And so it seems that the body can use the skin and sweating as an organ of elimination to eliminate all types of poison. Sure. But what's the difference between running on the treadmill and sweating in the sauna? Are they both sweating? Is there a difference? Yes, there is. And the big difference is when you're running on the treadmill, your body's in sympathetic dominance. All of your energy is going towards locomotion. So all of your energy is going to your heart and lungs and muscles to move. And there's not really any cellular or other energy going towards rest, digest, repair, and heal. So when you're in the sauna, it is a somewhat of a sympathetic nervous activity in the sense that you have increased heart rate.
The heart rate, yeah.
You have increased blood flow. You have those things going on, but you're not doing anything. So your body uses all of the energy and the increased blood flow, the nutrient delivery, and the other stuff going on to heal, to repair, reoptimize, and correct functioning, whether it's the heat shock proteins fixing and refolding proteins, or it's the heat shock proteins helping detox, or from the light therapy perspective, the anti-inflammation, the immune modulation, and the cellular turnover and repair and autophagy that's going on. When you sweat passively, your body is doing all this healing stuff. It's in this healing state. So from a toxin elimination standpoint, you get a lot more efficient and effective cell detox. And so if you measure the sweat, if you test the sweat of someone who is doing sauna, the toxicant load, the heavy metal load is actually quite high. And those of you who want to look into it, you can look at the World Trade Center studies where they had folks who, some of the rescue workers from the 9/11 rescue effort, do the L. Ron Hubbard sauna protocol, which was like 2 saunas a day with niacin dosing. very vigorous like sauna protocol for a period of months, and they measured various petrochemical levels like xylene and toluene and other these really toxic chemicals that were in the environment, during the rescue operation. And they had like huge reductions in blood and tissue levels of these petrochemicals. So very clear that the difference is when you're doing, and there's a huge benefit to intense exercise. We want that, that's its own benefit. I'm not an exercise expert. There are those out there, I'm sure you've had them on your show. There are many amazing benefits to exercise, but detoxification is not really one of them. And if we're talking about taking care of the body really well, intense exercise needs to be complemented with sauna session. And if you're doing like a high intensity exercise, it's wonderful to finish off with a sauna session. It's not just for the detoxification, it's also for the relaxation and the detox from the lactic acid. It's restorative. It helps for muscle recovery and tissue recovery from muscular and tissue, the pain and the soreness afterward is reduced because we're helping detox the lactic acid and other things. So it's not enough to do exercise. You really need to do sauna. And certainly if you don't have time for both, I do prefer to do sauna because it is, in fact, like 100 kilowatt workout. So it is like a mild workout for the body.
So that's 50 calories, 100 kilo. What's a
how's a kilowatt? It's a kilowatt. So it's like the amount of
energy,
of energy that you expend. And people are, yes, passively losing unwanted body fat doing that. But the big difference is with exercise, you have growth benefit and you have a cardiovascular health improvement and other aspects of exercise that are amazing, but detoxification is not really going on big time. So in terms of body purification, the sauna sweat is where it's at. And that's the big difference. And that's why sauna sweating is so much more healing and powerful than sweating at the gym. The benefits of the gym are there. But if we really want to detox, the most effective way to do that is passive sweating more than anything else. And there's things also that we can combine with the sauna to make our detox even more effective, like using a binder after the sauna. And there's different
like molecular hydrogen, like
what you can use, like there's chlorella, I really like that. There's charcoal based and silica based binders. They're safe and natural. I really like Dr. Shade's Chris Shade's Quicksilver Scientific product. Has like a silica charcoal binder product. He has a push catch system that's really cool, where you take this product called liver sauce, which promotes toxin release, and then you get in the sauna, and then after the sauna you take the charcoal silica binder product, and you're sort of like helping the body catch and eliminate the toxins that are pulled out of the cells with the sauna therapy. Because there is some, the toxins come out of the cells in the sweating and the sauna therapy, in the sauna therapy at the cell level, and then they go into the blood, and then they go through the lymphatic system and other systems, and they get to the sweat, and they're sweated out. But there's some amount of it that can get reabsorbed. So the binders is a great thing to take after a sauna session. Definitely.
I wonder if clay would be good too.
Also, yes,
I have clay every day.
Silica is one of the best binders. It's an amazing binder for metals, for aluminum and other things, and widely available in our environment, very affordable. Chlorella, like I said before, is a pretty effective one too.
Maybe it's like cilantro.
There's a lot of there's definitely other things you can do to support your session. I also highly recommend the consumption of electrolytes in your water. Very good. A lot of great brands and products out there. But and then having definitely clean water, like hydrogen water is the best, but certainly at least having filtered water, good filtered water, and spring water. And it doesn't necessarily it doesn't need to be structured either, because when you're in the sauna, the light therapy structures the water in your body.
I was just going to say it structures you. That's great.
So
Well,
you in a sense, you actually,
yeah.
when you use the SaunaSpace sauna,
Yeah.
you are actually more hydrated after the session than you are in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Well, I was just thinking you probably want to make sure you're well hydrated before you get in there so you can sweat really well.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, this has been just amazing. Oh my gosh, I could just talk to you forever. You are just an incredible wealth of knowledge. And obviously, your cognition is on par because my God, you just are like a walking encyclopedia. That's just
Thank you.
amazing. Your recall is extremely, extremely impressive. Um, is there anything else you're feeling like you want to share with the audience today before we wrap it up?
Wow, I think we talked about all the basics.
Yeah.
I just, in all of this, I really urge folks out there to just, soak this in and think about it, and
Mhm.
then find, one thing to change, and start out with that. Don't get overwhelmed with things. That's what I love about what SaunaSpace does and what I do, because I don't like to do things for my health just because somebody told me. I
Mhm.
want to do things that feel good and they're fun.
Mhm.
And if you try out one of our products, you'll see it feels good immediately, and
Yes.
there's definitely a validation. Yes, this is feeling really good. And then
Mhm.
you find, as you use it and you slowly reprogram and shift the body, that uh you start correcting yourself, and you correct your body and you correct your mind, and it gives you it gives you, it has changes that it provokes that are small and large, and go to our website on sauna.space. You can read some of the reviews. There's folks who have had incredible transformative experiences and changes in their life from the incorporation of this light and heat therapy into their daily lives. And I'm so grateful for all of those experiences. Definitely, it started with just me, but I think when I got my first, back in the day, it was the first phone call I got from a happy customer that called me up, and she was like crying on the phone, and she said, I'm so thankful, I got my job back and I got my
Wow.
life back just by using your sauna. And it was quite
Wow.
bricolage back then. It was not it wasn't nearly what it is today.
Wow.
But I was like, wow, this is so
Mm.
transformative. Such a simple practice, as you said, this lazy practice of sitting under the light and the heat in this calm space,
Mm.
and doing this ancestral practice with some cool modern technology that we've really that's purpose driven design, where we've really optimized the experience, can be such a transformative tool for your health. And it's something that's so valuable because it's really high benefit and really low risk. Pretty much everybody can do this in the comfort of their home.
Yep.
And there's just only benefit to it. There's no known side effect of light therapy, for example.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's something that I find so inspirational and so powerful. There are some other cool tools out there, but I am proud to be a part of what we do here. I do feel like it's one of the most effective things available in wellness.
I agree. And that's why it's on my website. I am very picky and I get asked to add things all the time. And nope, only stuff that I use personally and has completely changed my life for the better. And I couldn't get sauna space up there fast enough. And again, it was an answer to a prayer. I was looking for a sauna for a long time.
Mm,
And I'm glad you mentioned the convenience thing. I mean, you don't even have to leave your house. It's great. And you shouldn't take a shower before. So you don't have to get all cleaned up to get out of the house. It's like you just get in it naked and then take your shower and you're good. But I hope people try it. I'm thrilled that your company has offered a nice coupon for everybody to use at checkout. They can save a little bit of money, which is beautiful.
yeah,
That's on my
absolutely.
website. But let's go ahead and share with people how they can find out more, because your website has a ton of research on it too. So where would you like to direct people, Brian, to learn more about your stuff?
Yeah, primarily on sauna.space. That's our website. In the
Yeah.
learn section, you can read about this light therapy stuff and the light spectrum of the sun, and the
Mm-hmm.
light spectrum of the bulb, and what we're talking about, and some of the benefits of sauna, and our products are on there, and our story and everything. But we do have in the footer of our website a research archive that you can search by topic. It's certainly not all of the research, but it's a curated list of research that I found, and it's organized by like eyes or immune or whatever. So you can, if you want to dive deep into the science, you can do so there. Also on our YouTube at SaunaSpace, and on our Instagram, we have a lot of great content where on Instagram, I show, how the EMF meters work and how flickering light works, and sort of some deep science dives there. But also on YouTube, not just on our channel, but also I've done a lot of, I've done some speaking engagements and some other recordings that are a ton of deep dives for those of you who want to listen more into various other like topics, areas, because there is so much to talk about here. But definitely start out with sauna.space, and you can chat with us there. You can call us. We have in-house customer support. Our product's handmade in Columbia, Missouri, in the US. It all comes with a 10-year guarantee and 100 days free trial. So 100-day home trial, I should say. So it's something where you get on there and check it out, and then you just try it out and see if it's right for you. Pretty much everybody who uses it keeps it and loves it and finds it's a central tool for their wellness.
Exactly. Well said. A central tool for my wellness. And I'll add too, it's very well made. It's very well made. It's very high quality and beautiful. I mean, you mentioned like the stool that you can get to sit on. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's like so soft. I don't know what you call the way that wood is shaved, that it's like cotton.
It's contoured, like to fit your butt.
Yeah, but it's soft. It's just beautiful. And it's just super high quality. Everything is just like tight and nice. And I love it. I'm very impressed, and just very impressed by you too. So thank you for producing this amazing thing for all of us. And I really hope people check it out. Brian, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Amy. It's been wonderful.
Okay, great. And I hope to meet you in person too one day. I'm coming out to Texas.
Come on out.
All right. Okay, everybody. Thanks so much. I really hope you check out SaunaSpace. Remember, you can use my coupon code. That'll be in the show notes. And if you want to support me, please subscribe, leave a review, share it with a friend, or just check it out and enjoy. And thanks for being here. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Would you like to support my mission to help empower people all over the world to be all of who they truly are? If so, please subscribe to the show, leave a review on iTunes, and share it with a friend. And if you're looking to take immediate action to align your energy and optimize your health, visit amyfournier.com. Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite. Let's awaken her together in you. I'm your hostess, Amy Fournier, and I already can't wait to be with you again and for you to hear what I have planned for the next show.
Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. To learn more about Amy, check out her website, amyfournier.com. That's AMYFOURNIER.com. You can also check out Amy's live and on-demand virtual fitness and yoga classes, and sign up for her newsletter to receive a free mini ebook of 3 of her top tips for making holistic health a lifestyle. Again, that's amyfournier.com, and get your ebook sent to your email immediately. Connect with Amy on the daily on Instagram at FitAmyTV, FITAMYTV, and watch many of the podcast episodes and subtopic clips on her YouTube channel, which is also FitAmyTV. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time on Awakening Aphrodite.